Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome back. We have 5 minutes to close. It's been a fun day. Been a pretty fun day. We got the coveted whip, which I did call out a little earlier. There was some expectations, and we get pretty damn symmetrical. Now, whether or not some of this was intentional or not, hard to tell. Certainly, opening higher and then placing no trades until later in the day is one way to do things. Definitely one way to do things. Um, Mostly again, we're mostly mega cap driven right now. The big boys having some great earnings, and then value's been doing great because economic numbers and everything leading to inflation. So again, nothing really matters intraday. There's nothing really to see here, but this would be an example of some. If you needed to basically make a trade today, then you would still wanted to have done it based on the timing that was sort of set in front of us. So there were things that I entered today that, for instance, if you entered them at the open, then you would have got stopped out and feel really silly that now the price is right back to there. Right, you would have wanted to get involved close to the apex down there as possible. Thankfully, there was nothing that troublesome. Again, nothing's really changed since the open. Everything is, Facebook gapped up for earnings. It's still here, right? These sort of things, mega caps all up. Apple's the only one that's kind of just trading flat from that start. It's just sitting here, break even on the day so far. But everything else is still significantly up, looking pretty hot. There are things that are down, but it's been mostly intraday. So there's been opportunities to get out of positions if need be. There's been some opportunities to buy at lows. Again, not lows, the stores, but on the lows. There, it was, I guess it was a pretty opportune day. Again, everything was from the open or on the pullback from earlier. Um, Tomorrow's should be interesting. Again, I think tomorrow we get a big China day, and tomorrow's going to be kind of the day that people are going to make their mind up. If you haven't already made your mind up, then you're kind of running out of. It's not that you can't just buy in a month from now, but people are certainly feeling the pressure that you're running out of time, being at all-time high here. I think this here is the scariest one. Is the Dow? Is I think that again we got into all-time highs so quickly on the Dow and through value that again, if you go look at banks and energy here, this here is you're just really far behind. And there's no way to go trade options on this shit. There's just no way now. There's just sort of, it's all hedges. So, again, this is where any options that you would possibly be buying right now on banks, for instance, like if you were trading options, you're buying someone else's hedge, which is not always a good thing. You want to be doing it beforehand because now you're stuck in an ass of supply. You're just kind of sticking your head in someone's butt, right? That's literally what you're doing, and that's just disgusting. So, not that you shouldn't be, but um, this is again, it's why now? Like why wasn't it yesterday, the day before, right? These things have been really straightforward, and you've been getting slapped in the face nonstop. Do what's in front of you, right? Literally take what's in front of you, and again, the energy play continuing here. These have been important trades, and we knew, and we're getting confirmation, and we see the economic numbers today really backing those up. These things are slapped in the face in hindsight if you didn't get a part of them. It's one thing to miss like Facebook here or something like that. No one's mad. It's not like, oh man, I missed my chance or something. Like you make the money here, then great, and you can fucking yell at everyone and you can say whatever you want to anybody because you made money, but no one is feeling bad, right? But those trending charts definitely feel bad. I would say if you're not a part of those, so you should feel bad. Um, so you can catch them next time, right? What do we got? We get 20 seconds. There's nothing I need to do here at close, but let's see. Do we have anything? Or anything? Anything move? Is Amazon gonna move before we get these? Nothing. Nothing. I can't wait to see. They're gonna blow these fucking. They're gonna shine that bald Bezos head. Where are we going on this? Oh, we're already at 3504. See that? Look, we're already at 3504. That's already a 1%. That was easy. What is that first tick? That's gonna be incorrect. I don't think that's real. Who put that order in there? Is that a real order? That can't be one. Anyway, I'm excited to see what we get there. Of all the earnings, Amazon is always the one that matters. And let's be honest, you might as well. I put it in the bullshit channel. You might as well put, you might as well put, uh, on that earnings call just the Bezo laughing meme, and just say put the you remember from Watchmen the nuclear clock, sort of like the clock to doomsday or whatever, the doomsday clock. You might as well have one of those, and then it's a clock with a needle for how close is Amazon to taking over the world or not. And Mobs, you say that it's not real, but I think it actually is real. I'm watching it right now. It looks like we're the numbers are already coming in. Again, these are like the the idea that um the idea that like Amazon is not going to do well on these earnings is like the dumbest thing in the world. And this is again where what do you think all this price action is, right? Like what could possibly be happening in here, right? And it's always the dumbest thing because it's so obvious and everyone knows. Guys, it's not like we don't know. They're public companies. It's not like we don't know, right? And actually, I was reading so I was like reading the contrast between like Financial Times, Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, and they were talking about the estimates that we're getting from analysts, right? And I've already told you guys sort of the reality behind the whole analyst thing, and like everyone knows this, and that it's literally just analysts go out there and uh, they're just promoters, right? They're fucking stock promoters. Some of them are obviously they're completely their own opinions, whatever. But you shouldn't be fucking that far off, right? And now everyone just so far off, and everyone really fucked up with COVID, right? But this is the most obvious period ever. Like this is the most obvious thing ever. In the fact that everyone's so wrong, and the best one was the UPS one. The fact and the idea that it was so off, right? It's so off. And again, this is where they don't matter. And this is why they don't matter, because the jump in price is coming from a beating of earnings, not from the content of what the earnings is, but it's the fact that they beat estimates. That's the only way we're changing things, and that's why it doesn't matter. Because some moron that gets paid 40 grand a year is putting some estimate out there, but they know less than your fucking dog, right? Your dog, sitting there eating his balls right now, licking his wet, fucking stinky ass, knows more than these analysts do. They have no clue. They've got no idea. They're like the kind of people that they're probably out at the bar right now, and they get a call, and you hear these people at the bar, and they go, "Yeah, I'm in the office right now. What's up?" Right? That's what's going on. So put it into perspective. But yeah, this is great. Um, this is great. We're up over 5%. I can call my mom and tell her we still got money, Mom. we're doing we're doing all right. You still got money. Anyway, that's that. That's that. Uh, okay. Let's talk about this a little bit. So, the first day that we get some actual movement, right? The this whole week so far we've been trading flat. We've gotten a lot of movement, obviously from earnings, from mega caps. So a lot of points. Um, there's certainly a lot of reasons to believe that trading through all-time highs that we're going to pick up the pace again. So I have all my long term, but I put on short term bet here. These mega cap moves are certainly going to help. Now the fact that the average is not higher than we are now is a little, I would say, strange. And I talked about it from this open that I found it a little, just a little strange that we didn't get much reaction after the economic numbers. Now, if you look at the contrast between growth and value, this gets a little dicey because again, mega caps are doing extremely well right now, but value is doing it did react very positively, but again, it was on this weird schedule today where we had this whip that again, this was kind of a little too obvious to see, and this is where I put things like GE and BA here in reaction to some of the negative things that came through. But things like CAT even that came out on earnings, and I talked about it over here. Like this is flowing out somehow because there's a shortage of semis, and so this is bringing things down. And so we're getting all this information on earnings, but even this is like a no-brainer to go buy. And and so even on the side that there was some negative sort of side effects of things, the thing to remember here is that even though there's a negative of just sort of one day, this is one day that's actually going to lead to probably trend to the upside that's bullish overall. And so overall, even things that were down, and there were a lot of things that, again, there's a lot of things up. And if we look at the list, there's a lot of interesting ideas here. But if we go look at the sort of the lows that came in today, there's a lot of, again, we were looking at them. We have things like Ford here. This sort of price action, you can definitely get caught sort of whether it's off guard you're getting caught or just probability wise it's going to happen. Like spot yesterday, I got hit on spot. There's things like it's possible on Uber you could have got hit. Now again, the thing is here though that these were intraday moves today. Almost all this was intraday, and so things started from the open mostly higher, and you had all day to basically exit these positions. And so this kind of set up an interesting dynamic today where you could follow the flows a little bit. And again, the average is significantly up and we're trending to all-time high. And this is again where if you are in these positions and you're watching your money get burnt, then you're doing something wrong, right? And I think I saw like, yeah, whatever, calling names out, LSU in chat today talking about getting stopped out. And I think even yesterday, if you find yourself buying things and getting stopped out a lot right now, then it means you're trying to catch things at the lows way too much, probably. You like when you see things like this and you go, ooh, and go buy Uber at the low down here today. Or whatever it is, or like Ford at the low down here. You're doing too much of that. You're buying too much junk, right? Or you're at least trying to buy and catch things too low. In almost always, and I talked about this, almost always that mentality is coming because you think you missed the rest of the boat, right? You think you actually missed the other trades. You see something like Facebook move here and you go, oh man, I missed it, right? Oh, now I can't do anything here. You look at Google and you go, oh man, I can't make this trade now. Shit. Right? And you're gonna see Amazon now and you go, oh man, now it's up. Yeah, now I missed it, right? All these sort of feelings. Well, S&P's been at all-time high. I missed this whole thing. So now the only thing I can do for a trade is, well, I'm gonna have to go to my list, go to the bottom. All right, let's go find some shit that got fucking pegged down 30% or something. All right, let's go buy these, right? That's bad. That's just shit, right? If something is down and it isn't bullish and it's not going, then do not buy it. It's junk. It's garbage. Don't buy it, right? Don't buy it. Buy the thing that's actually bullish. It's going to make money that other people want to buy. Because what you're by yourself, right? You're a pajama trader. You're home alone. You know, you got greasy fingers. You're not convincing anybody to go buy it. You're literally convincing yourself, and you're going to be alone in the dark, lonely, and losing money because no one else is going to buy it. You're not going to get anyone else to buy it. Even if I throw a chart on there, right, it's not going to happen. So those are the situations where right now it's not, you can't do that. And again, this is where it's going to depend on capital. But today's another example where I know that some people probably got hurt today. And it's a really weird thing to, I mean, I guess in hindsight to do. But again, this is where capital, I want you to think about it in terms of capital. If you have a significant amount of capital, you can get, the best thing to do right now is get exposure to everything, all equities, right? But if you only have enough capital to be buying, let's say, one or two different things, sector-wise, then you cannot be going and buying junk and taking risks on some of those shittier things. That's where, if you haven't been a part of banks and you don't have that much capital, then why haven't you been a part of this thing the whole time? You just sit in the trade, you don't do much of anything. This is a must. You must be a part of this. Energy. You must be a part of this. Through any of these sort of moves, you must be a part of this, because this is quite literally just the whole thing of our cycle right now. You have to be a part of this with banks. They're sort of tied together, right? The other thing you need to be a part of is value altogether. This idea of infrastructure, right? We have all these infrastructure bills. Now, there's a couple of different ways to do it. If you want to try to get sort of exposure to all these things, you can buy things that are related to the Dow, and this can be sort of obviously a gradient of different things. It doesn't really so much matter, but there's a lot of different ways you could do this. And again, if you just look through the Dow companies, it's really straightforward. The other move, things like healthcare. This is again a factor of the Dow, but using anything on the healthcare side, these have been very straightforward moves that, again, if you don't have a position here, again, there's something just wrong. That's something wrong. You have to be a part of this, as again, just a part of the nature of where the market is right now. You got to be a part of these. You need exposure. What about the most obvious thing? Mega caps. Right now, you need to be a part of mega caps. And so, again, it's very easy to get exposure to all these things. You need to be a part of mega caps. So the FANG stocks, Apple, right? Apple's very straightforward. It doesn't matter what happens day to day. Just sit in this position. It's going to be up. Just sit in the position. Facebook, just be in this position and you're going to make money, right? Look at, you were given a gift if you were here. Some of you were in this. Great. You just made 100% on options for no fucking reason, right? Who knows what happened? Zuckerberg sucked sucked the soul out of everybody and it went up. Amazon, you just sit in this position, right? Consumer spending, however you want to rationalize it and however you want to enter the trade, it's just about being there. I can tell you 1,000 different things to buy before probably some of the things that people that we know bought, right? Again, when you look at the numbers right now, it's all consumer spending. This shit's going to get going. Inflation's going to be going. There's a lot of obvious things to be buying first. Do not buy the thing that you think you can make happen. This novel idea you have that you told Greg about, or Greg told you about, that, oh, well, listen, this would be really cool if it worked, man. Like, whatever idea you came up when you were fucking hammered or fucking high out of your mind is not going to work, right? It's just bad. Don't do those things, right? Don't do these weird emotional things. Buy the thing that continues to go up, right? Just do it. And you'll be completely fine right now. These things have been very straightforward to the point where anything else is just a joke, right? And I've sort of mentioned it as much. These are all the base trades. And then everything else we've been doing is sort of this sort of chasing of alpha that other people are not doing, because these other trades we're making are trades that everyone's making, right? Everyone's making this trade. Everyone's making these same trades. What we're trying to do, like everyone's in this Visa trade, right? What we're trying to do is now, okay, we're a part of those. Now what we want to do is try to be faster in transitions and then find some of these trades that, yeah, there's going to be times when you get things like short-term vol in travel where we can go enter at a low when everyone else is selling and buy it at a point where we're going to already immediately be up by like 25% or something because the selling is giving us a discount, right? And these sort of things, the ability to get into this position, get out of this position, are are where small timers like us are going to make money, right? But again, you should not be in positions that are getting beat up day after day and getting stopped out. It's definitely not the time. Definitely not the time, right? Now, here like good examples are of buying on lows are things like this here, where we have semiconductors are one of the most obvious things that it's look at how important semiconductors are right now. When we talk about sectors, almost every single earnings call so far has mentioned the shortage of semiconductors and how it has really affected their business, right? That should tell you right now that holy shit, this sector is like the most important sector right now in the world. In this shortage, all it is a manufacturing shortage. They don't have enough. They just don't have enough. So they're going to need to build more. Well, look at what's happening right now. We have the significant demand, and we're entering this time of extreme sort of inflation, right? Manufacturing is getting a ton of money from the government. Well, these things are lining up pretty well. You're going to get a boom from this, and it's going to, again, cause. We're talking about these things line up to equity markets. Equity prices getting just really just boomed, right? They're going to react in a very violent way. And a good way to see it is that we're literally seeing it prices right now that they're coming down and reacting negatively. And this is again that healthy price movement that allows for a swing to the upside that you can capture. And it's very straightforward to make these sort of moves, right? And so beyond that, you need to be buying because of a good idea and because again the levels are there allowing you to do so. Otherwise, you're just kind of you're making things up, right? Which is not good. We don't want to do that. So I think right now it's pretty linear right now. There's nothing out of the box so much. It's not so much where we were taking trades that again when you're trading through some volatility in short term, a lot of it is very much it's who's more nimble and fast in getting in and out. Right now, it's very much who can set up the best portfolio. What can you do in terms of risk in getting exposure to everything so that over this longer period of time of really this growing of the economy and sort of stipulation and misunderstandings of what the Fed is going to do or what it may or may not do, just being exposed and having the market continue to grow with you, you're going to be in a situation where it's going to depend on how much of that money is in the market every single day. And if you are wasting time right now, it will add up to 3 months from now when you look back in hindsight and you go, oh shit, if I actually had my money in a position over that time, I would have, you would have compounded these gains and bet at a spot that by trying to maneuver and make decisions right now, instead of just taking one and sticking with it, you're going to be in a situation where you didn't make money, right? It's hard to feel in the moment, and that's where again, that's the whole point of what we're trying to do here is, we're trading and we're trying to minimize risk, right? So we exit trades, we buy at lows, buy on fear, and then we kick it into a new gear where we're really just pushing everything for a longer term, right? And then we'll bet on sort of what we'll then do is then be betting on, well, how fast is price going to be from here? We already sort of have a trajectory, how much faster, and we start to put those new trades in. And then from there, as we get new gains and take profit on some of those, that new gain in capital that we have, we're going to put on positions that we're now betting that are catching back up or betting on a sort of a new idea in the moment, something like some of these isn't a new idea, but betting on those lows and then betting on things like some of the COVID winners that are now coming back, right? We start to add those back in. It's just sort of this, again, constant transitioning, constant paper gain at least. And as we realize those gains, you should almost always be putting that money back in, right? There's always a time. This was very much take the money home, take the money home. Right now, let it work for you, right? Let it work for you. This weekend, you know, there's going to be a lot of people that I think this candle here is probably going to set up I don't know, there's going to be probably a wacky day tomorrow, something similar to today. You got to be able to push, you got to maybe sleep through tomorrow, right? Maybe sleep through tomorrow because we get most of the earnings out of the way already. And we're probably going to open higher. We're at all-time high. I think China's going to have good shit tomorrow. Really hoping for my Baba trade that we blow this one out of the water. It doesn't really matter, but I think we're going to open higher. That might lead to take profit like a day like today. You got to be able to find a way to just remove, if you're a buyer right now, which you should be, you cannot be buying and then getting out of the position because you're trying to time it and get a better low. You're not going to be able to time it. Just be in something, right? You don't need to buy and then be like, oh man, this isn't working very well. Let me get out. Because then you're sitting with cash. You're basically paying to have your money not in the market. If you're sitting on 100% cash or you're only buying like dumb things, you're paying by not doing that. That's we have negative rates right now. Basically. So you're basically paying the bank to hold your money. You're paying your broker to hold your money. You're sitting here paying me. You're paying everybody else but yourself. If you put the money in the market, it will pay you back. Take some for yourself, right? Tomorrow's going to be fun. Again, earnings is basically over for this week. That was basically it. The economic numbers today were phenomenal. I think everyone digested them pretty well. And again, basically everything today and the earnings have confirmed everything we thought. The big thing that I'll leave you guys with again is buybacks. It's the most important part of the consistency that we'll have here, because the question really looms that how much of this is priced in and how do you continue to move. These mega caps can sustain their price, and they want to. They want to do that because, again, this is where it comes from. It goes beyond what the actual value of a company is, and it goes down to the idea that it's fucking worth something, right? Apple's not going to let its price go down. This will not. This is, again, we're buying something like down here, and we can be like, this is not going down. They will not let this price go down. They will be buying this shit. Google spending 50. Again, this is just disgusting and hard to. It's really hard to fucking put into perspective, but they spent $50 billion up here. It wasn't like they were buying at a low. They didn't give a fuck. They bought it up here because they don't care. That's the whole point. They want this shit to be up here because, look, you go to the cap size, they're at 1.6 trillion right now. This can be 2 trillion by fucking next month. Next month they'll be $2 trillion company probably, right? This is just the way. This is the way they want it to appear, and again, it's going to cost more money. It doesn't so much. You don't need more money spent as long as the spread continues to widen, right? No one cares about the price. If I asked you right now and you weren't looking at this, what was the fucking price of Google? You'd have no idea. You got no clue. I don't even know what the fucking price of Google is, and I'm in the position, but I'm trading options. I got no fucking idea, right? You don't put these two together, right? In some of the ideas of splits and everything kind of put that into perspective, that you don't really associate the company with a price, right? Google being at 2,000, now it being at 2,400. We don't really think about it like that. We do that with like the S&P a little bit, but that's also why I look at when we talk about sort of the S&P, and instead of using like SPX, we'll use SPY. Instead of NASDAQ, we'll use the Qs. we use the actual tradable vehicle, and sometimes that can help with, instead of conceptualizing this through points, we don't do it so much through points, we do it through the move and the way it looks and the way it feels, right? And the only way to do that is to be a part of it, right? Because it's not like you can just be sort of getting an analog sort of summary of like, oh yeah, the S&P is up 30 basis points today. You need to really be able to see it, right? You need more than the points, right? And again, no one cares. It's like, look at Bitcoin. I'm going to talk about Bitcoin here. No one really cares what the price is. We're talking about, again, we're talking about a pretty high value, but no one's buying it for like the specific price. It's not so much it's not so much that, because it's not again, we're speculating on it. We're not using it as sort of a currency or something. It's like, you don't go, well, what's the value of my position here, in the sense that you're going to barter with it or something, right? It doesn't really hold that kind of value. That's not what we use it for. This move here with Bitcoin, I think, again, the timing that I used here is so far bidding. We're getting confirmation of this idea. Other people I've talked to, I've sort of, again, it's really hard to know if you did the right thing or not, if something does go your way, because just trying to be critical of this move here, just because it hasn't crossed the point from which I sold. There's a lot of different ways you can look at it, and so far it's okay. And it's also hard because I've talked to people and then I think I convinced them of my own idea, just because it's been correct so far, but we'll see. I think the idea of inflation here is an important one still. It might be the most important one, that most of the price here so far is from an inflation standpoint. And again, that's like retail just jumping in and pushing prices up, not caring about the price, but then institutions coming in and they regulate the price a little bit more because of the sizing. And it also, you feel it on the sell side. But then like a day like today, we get economic numbers. Bitcoin is not a value trade, and it's not tied to it's it's not tied to the economics so much of inflation that we're looking at in consumer spending and in this sort of investment driven vehicle. This is sort of the byproduct of inflation, not so much that it is inflation. And so seeing selling here today, there's not value here, there's growth here, right? And I think there's still an understanding that it's possible that, again, this is the spearhead. We can use this to control the inflation in some sort of way. In just the way that we use bonds, what happens with bonds is that the bond market is like a little baby, right? It'll start to cry when it wants something. And sometimes Daddy Powell will go, okay, here's $120 billion a month. The crypto market isn't so much like that because we don't really have, Daddy isn't home, right? And so in this situation, what happens is you get the institutions that come in and they start to sell over here because, again, they have better things to do right now, sort of. And they start to sell here, but what they're asking is, do you want this? Like, do you really want this? And I think right now, again, that's sort of what I had over here for an understanding, is I think we're in this moment right now, and I'm reading a lot of dumb articles, but I think really what was happening over here is institutions are setting up a prompt. And a lot of the prompt is, do you actually want this? Because what you're going to have to do is you're going to need to buy up our supply that we've basically hoarded through this entire period. Institutions are basically hoarding a bunch of Bitcoin for basically to ask the question, because they're not sure. You ask anybody that works at an institution, they don't know if crypto, they look at it like unbiasedly, they don't know if crypto is going to be the next big thing, or if it's going to be something in 10 years, right? Or if it's going to be in sort of the pace that it's been on, right? This ability to double in value like every fucking month, right? They don't know that answer, and so what do? You test it. A good way to figure out if your investment's going to work is you test it. You buy a bunch of it and then you sell it. Is someone going to buy it? Right? And you start to throw these things on the market. The thing is here is there's not a good, again, we have Coinbase. You can look at that price. I mean, is that good or bad? Who fucking knows, right? It doesn't really matter here. But this is the only thing we've got. There's not, again, institutions don't really have any other way to go trade crypto. There's not really a way to do this. And so there's only one way to test it, and that's you're going to go throw the coins on there, and that's like Tesla. See, like Elon saying what he said was that he was testing liquidity. See how he says that in such a way because he knows what everyone's trying to do, and it's really just to figure out if it's possible to basically hold this for value, and then when you want to take profit on it, can you do so without crashing the whole fucking market? He's trying to, he's a little bugger, right? He's trying to lay the seed, but it's exactly the problem, and there's an understanding that okay, you bought 1 billion of Bitcoin and you sold 100 million of it, but we don't know the specifics of any of that, and there's not really a way to other than seeing the revenue, right? And so seeing some of these, it's kind of phony. Like there's certainly weakness, and it's like the shadow banking realm of understanding over here, right? So I'm still not in this. I'm not putting it on for the weekend yet. Obviously, if you re-enter this position, the trading aspect of wanting to buy at a lower price certainly is involved, but by buying low here, you are buying on some sort of weakness. And I don't know if that's so much what you want in the crypto market. It's not like equities where you want to buy at a low because you believe there's value to the upside. I think here, buying on a low is not exactly the answer. So we're going to wait and see. How this translates to other markets is definitely interesting. The gold move, nothing. And so again, we don't have very good answers on some of the commodities, while the rest of the commodity market is just roaring. It's insane right now. It's insane, and again, it's understood there's a super cycle going on in terms of that market. You look at things like lumber; these things all have direct sort of equity components that we can look at. You can look at home building and equities compared to lumber and see these things, and then we understand the housing market, supply and demand there. Things like gold and silver, we don't really see that, and then we just finally started with things like Bitcoin, with coin, and then we have fintechs. These things are not, we don't really have good answers. If you don't know, then you shouldn't buy it. So right now we don't know. So let's chill on some of those ideas. Even though we like the idea, it's like us saying solar. Yeah, I like the idea. I'm not going to go buy this right now. So clean energy is off the table, right? I believe in clean energy. I'm not going to go buy it right now, right? I threw some charts up. I wanted to make it work. Yeah, I'm not going to do it right now, right? I'm not willing to, it'd be like me donating. Yeah, I'm going to donate for causes. Am I going to do it through fucking losing money in the equity market? Probably not. Right? So that's probably something to keep in mind. For tomorrow, again, we have things like BABA earnings. We'll see. This is probably going to be the most interesting thing for tomorrow. The thing to watch for tomorrow as well is going to be the continuation of this oil move going into the weekend. This is going to be, it's going to be one of the more fascinating things, I would say, because this sort of, again, we're looking at this as a bit of a benchmark. we just had this very big rally with mega caps, but we're seeing this very strong sort of hold by value. Tomorrow, if we get a big value move, as maybe you get some take profit from some of those growth moves, that should show the hand a little bit. I think this has already shown the hand. That's what I would say, and so that's why I'm in these value things. So keep that in mind in terms of what we see the biggest gain tomorrow. I would say the Dow is going to have the biggest gain tomorrow. I would say it had the biggest gain today. If you look overall, it had the biggest gain today. I would say it's going to have the biggest gain tomorrow as well. And so that kind of idea, again, is the building blocks of sort of portfolios. I think everyone's doing the same thing. It's some of these moves is disgusting. Like I was looking at levels this morning at, I think some of you are in here. I was looking at levels like on JP Morgan this morning. When you start to just put into perspective the amount of supply in here, as soon as it gets out of here, it's fucking see ya. It did 2% today. JP Morgan never moves. Did 2% today? It's going to be out of here. We out of the ballpark. These type of moves, they continue, right? And so I think tomorrow's going to be really interesting. I am hoping for maybe some weekend trades that we can put on. So those of you that, I don't mean like hoping. I mean, I think there's going to be some weekend trades. So those of you that are fucking poor, again, I'm just joking, but those of you that are like, fuck man, I'm poor. I need some like double ups. Tomorrow is probably going to be one of those days. We sort of have seen again, some of you have seen so far, we've had some trades that have been pretty out there, right? Just put some silly points on these kind of trades, but these are difficult. These are things that you just needed to be a part of already. Again, everything's pre-market after hours. I would say tomorrow, due to the way the market's been trading, and we saw that whip today. I think tomorrow you do get a whip like that tomorrow, but now we know that going into tomorrow already. Today you didn't specifically know. I think everyone that was here, I think you guys heard me, it was just kind of fucking obvious. I think tomorrow it gets even more obvious. That means there are opportunities to go take low trades and push it over the weekend and try to get something there. It may not be that much money, but it may be a situation where you can go put these trades on and go get 100%, right, over the weekend. And for some of you, you need that, right? Some of you probably do need that. So I'm gonna be hunting tonight, hunting for charts that sort of personify the idea of buying at a low, buying at support tomorrow, and fucking pushing that shit over the weekend, right? We've had a few charts in the past that have offered these ideas, things like STC. This obviously was a little bit longer term. We took this trade, but this was not like a one day fucking 100% or something. But we have had these trades. I think some of these trades that pulled back today, I talked about them. You had to buy them today on the pullback. Those would be examples of charts I'm talking about right now. And now I talked about those today that you needed to buy at the lows today. You're probably not gonna be able to buy those tomorrow. So you kind of already missed some of them if you didn't buy things today. And again, the motto right now has been, you should have bought it yesterday. The best time to buy was yesterday. That's been true for the last fucking month and a half. So again, some of you need to wake the fuck up and take the earwax out of your fucking eyeballs. That's growing out of your ear to your eyeball. Because again, you're sitting around picking your ass doing nothing. I mean, you're missing out on the money. Because I know there's some people in here making fucking bags. And trust me, you're probably smarter than them, and they don't even care that I just said that. They're like, I'm fucking dumb as hell, man, but making money. So that's, again, this market right now, it's really easy to get caught up in a lot of specifics, but just play the game. Just play it and look at that. I mean, look at that. Again, put it into perspective from before, right? Try to put yourself back in this mode, right? Put yourself back here. When you saw the market like this, right? Put yourself back in this mode, okay? And then Think about where price is, right? Try to try to do some sort of visual exercise every single day, and then see where the market could possibly be. Because if you don't see it, you don't have a vision for it, then you're never gonna have the confidence to go put the trade on, and again, you're gonna hurt yourself because you're gonna force things that are just not there, right? You're gonna have something, and so listen, I would say 60-70% that price is gonna follow this trend line for the next fucking year. 60-70%. I mean, I would just say 60-70%. It just follows this trend. We've been doing that for fucking a long time, right? Now again, we transpose, but those sort of transposing of supply, you don't really see that in your positions or anything like that. That's just the timing, right? You lose time, you don't lose value. So again, anytime there's like a consolidation or something, let's say the price came down to this trend line, it's not coming down in price, it's trading sideways. So again, we've been trading bullishly for 13 fucking years. So besides, you can put this in there if you want, but even this year, how many of you actually get affected by this? Some of you maybe weren't even trading, but I mean, the reality is you're losing time. You're not losing value. And so as long as you think about it as that, it's just a matter of how much you fucking spend. And again, they'll be trades. So yeah, let's see what we get for tomorrow. I had a nice day today. I think a lot of you had a good time. Again, I don't know what the best way. I obviously talked about. This gonna be my last point. We'll get out of here. I talked about. I remember when I said maybe a month and a half ago, or maybe just a month ago, talking about there's not any volatility in this market, but FOMO is a form of volatility, and I don't really see. It's funny. I don't really see much FOMO going on, and I'm actually trying to impose it while I've been talking and saying like, yeah, you missed this trade because you just weren't in there. But I don't think anyone's making sort of rash decisions because they have FOMO. And so I'm not really sure the best way to talk about like the FOMO thing. I don't think anyone really is. I mean, I know it just always exists, and it's like, ah, man, I didn't get this trade, I didn't get that trade. But that should be a good thing right now. Like that should be a good thing. So the fools rushing in idea right now is completely fine. So let your inner fucking spirit out of just, oh, I missed it. I'm gonna have to go chase it now. Just go chase it. Fucking chase everything, right? I'd rather you chase things and instead of being a pussy and sit on the sideline. Like that's a very important thing right now that I think is happening a little bit. But it's like, again, it's the opposite of the usual way. Usually it's like, ah, man, that sucks. I missed the boat. Now I can't. Instead of right now, you could just literally be like, oh, damn, Facebook gapped up 8%. Well, I guess I'll have to buy it tomorrow. Like these kind of things, like you can do that. You can certainly do that right now. So Microsoft right now, like here's a good example. Microsoft did this whole move. It's like, oh fuck, man, I missed Microsoft, and then it's now down here, right? Here you go. How many of you bought this today, right? I bet there's only one person that probably bought this today, right? And it's one of those like you're only looking at it for where it is right now to you. You're not looking at it as in 2 weeks from now where it's going to be, and how much money that would be. If this went up 5% in a week, that would be like 50%. It would be like 50 fucking percent on an option, right? And it's like, you don't think about these things, but and I know you can't buy everything, right? And that's the whole point of having limited resources, but it's like you buy fucking dumbass, you bought something else that was stupid, right? And then that's where maybe the FOMO comes in, that you bought something really stupid, right, instead. And so, it's always going to happen like this. There's literally nothing you can do. So, but just pull the trigger. You have an idea that you like, and you don't, as long as it's not like you trying to like make up an idea, like these people we see on TradingView that are kids that make up ideas, then you know the difference between the two. So you should be fine buying anything. And I think we've proven it so far. And again, the whole economics of everything right now is insane. I think the numbers are better than I've ever seen. So it's just we're really getting into something fucking interesting. I think it's definitely be interesting to live in and be in this environment. Like we're talking like even in a year from now, being like in a completely different a completely different place, which is weird to think about, right? The growth that we're going through everything is really interesting, and it does put this weird perspective on COVID that even through COVID, look what we're doing. It's we may normal people may not feel it and see it, but even just getting fucking paychecks in the mail, I think is already enough to see the change, right? Look at fucking Biden just spending all the fucking money in the world. Like this old dude just, you know, whatever the fuck he's doing out there, good for him, right? Anyway, this C trader with the 1400 today, awesome number. Momsy with the -7, the lucky unlucky number. Pajama trading out of his mind. Spoon with the 4%. Nice numbers, guys. Nice numbers. Again, it doesn't so much matter what you made or you lost today. It's gonna matter. It's gonna matter later. So, uh, again, just be a part of it. You can. I would lose half my money this week, doing what I'm doing right now, and I don't know. I think I'd be okay with it. I think I'd probably be okay with it. But there's no way that would be possible. Like if the S&P is never gonna go down 50% in a week, so you're gonna be all right. I will see you guys tomorrow in the morning. I will come up with some interesting ideas for some trades I think that maybe are a little risky, but those of you that want to partake, we'll see what we can have. Try to get after it because again, it's been a little bit slow. In terms of things that have been going on. And also, I posted this article. I know you guys don't have fucking like Financial Times accounts and shit, but you want to quickly see it while I scroll through here. This kind of thing here is really fucking scary to me. It's really cool, but it's really fucking scary, I think, to think about. Right now, machine learning is fucking terrible for trading. Like the algorithms that do trading are for placing the trades. It's not so much for strategy, right? These different models that we use like for sort of quantitative ideas from big data, they're not so much an algorithm that's coming up with trading strategies. They're just executing trades, right? They're executing trades fast from a human idea in programming. But the idea with like quantum computers, Goldman says quantum computers in 5 years. I mean, for like literally for using it in the market. I mean, okay, like we may not be able to trade in 5 years. So you're gonna want to make your money now because if some fucking AI is gonna be on the block soon from again a supercomputer that is the supercomputer of supercomputers right now, like you're not gonna be able to make it. So you gotta beat the fucking morons that we see in the market right now with the greasy fingers before this shit gets on. And I think somebody coming out like, you know, when you see headlines like this, it's like one thing. It doesn't really matter, but I think it's you can put into perspective that right now we have nothing. Like the reality is that there is nothing out there right now in terms of AI trading. Like we see things like a good example is like chess computers. Humans, like chess computers are like light years ahead of humans in playing chess. They can always beat fucking humans, right? They're just so much better than humans at chess. There's not anything like that for markets right now. There's no computer out there that can beat humans at trading. It's not even fucking close. Like they can execute trades fast. They can't make fucking trades themselves. But that alone should be like, well, if we do have the ability to make something, which obviously we do, then it almost makes us obsolete in these areas, right? And that's where, again, that shift is a big shift towards some some interesting things where all our money just can be in a fucking Vanguard, and then it becomes what's even the point? We can just keep pushing money up to the upside, and it doesn't matter. Everything's just bullish all the time, right? That would be the scenario, but it takes the fun out of it. So it's like people complaining about self-driving cars and not being able to drive. They want to be able to drive and kill themselves. They don't want the self-driving car to keep them alive. So like, I want the ability to kill myself if I want to in my car, right? Whatever that is that they want to rev their engine and drive, right? Whatever. But I think there is some things to think about with an idea like this, which again is just the technology side of things. It's like we're gonna have people on Mars, probably this decade, and like we're not prepared for some of these things and what it means for investing and trading, right? And they are important to keep in mind, right? These things actually do matter because every time we have one of these shifts, look at how much we've shifted around just because of the fucking FANG stocks, right? In these mega caps. It shifted everything and changed all of our lives in a very short amount of time, right? We had a fucking iPod and now we get iPhones, right? That was like 20 years ago for some of you. Anyway, that was like 10 years ago, but you know what I mean. I'll see you guys in the morning. Have a good night.